when you're being chased by a tiger, you don't think, how can I be more positive in life? How can I become enlightened? No, you need to get away. However, there is truth in the fact that, yes, in order to reach this level, we have to perform a bit of alchemy with whatever we've got. And we have many stories of old talking about this, right? How to turn lead into gold. And I personally believe that if you have a difficult life, if you've already suffered and you've learned a lot of lessons and you're still going through it, this is the gold that you can use for your spiritual transformation. And I also believe that you should be paid handsomely for it. And get this, even if you're already tired and even if you don't have a lot of money to begin with going forward. Why? Because that was me in the past. Why? Because I know what it's like, guys. You did not ask to be here. A lot of spiritual traditions will tell you that you did, that you chose your parents, you chose to be here during this time on earth, blah, blah, blah. But as we get older, we start to see that, you know what? Some things in life line up with perfect synchronicity and some things do not. Are we here because we're star seeds that God put on this planet because we have to do the work that apparently God cannot do himself? Or is it because our parents were misinformed, they had hormones raging, they believed what religion told them, they didn't give a single thought about what our future would be like, they didn't care that they'd be bringing you into the slave matrix of planet Earth, dooming you to rent and work for a capitalistic corporation until your bones broke down until the end of your life, right? Did your parents think about that? No. Did they think about your spiritual salvation? Right? Being on the path and the journey of finding your true self takes a lot of bravery, the willingness to take risks, to listen to the inner voice. But if we don't live within our system of values that we've created, we will live in the system and values of the world. And how are we programmed from a very, very young age, before we even have a chance to get a foothold into understanding our dharma in this life, the path that we should be on? Well, we get told by our parents, my roof, my rules. We get sent to public and government schools where they tell us, oh, are you having bodily functions? Too bad. You must ignore that and obey the teacher. You must blindly be obedient and follow the rules, or else. And then we end up with a society of adults with record divorce rates, extremely unhappy in their personal relationships in general, with their careers, right? You did the right thing. You went and got the university degree and you went and got the job at the corner office, and how are you still poor? You have all the things that you wanted and yet something is missing in your life. So what I want you to know is that when you die, you will not take any of these things with you. Everything that you have in your life right now is on loan. At the end of the day, life is but a borrowing of bones, right? You're even borrowing these bones that you inhabit right now, right? These do not belong to you. And one day they will return to the earth. And if you think that you're going to pass on a fancy house or a pile of gold or a nice car to your children, or this is the legacy you're going to leave behind, well, that may be the case. Would have been nice from my parents, because all I got was a kick in the behind out the door when I was 16 years old. So, that would have been nice, but the reality is that these are things of the world, right? They can be destroyed. They can be destroyed by fire, by theft, by inflation. What is something that cannot be destroyed by any of these things? What is something that appreciates over time no matter the circumstances. Think about that. Nothing of this world can touch your spiritual progression, your emotional regulation skills, your sense of amused mastery with the comedy of this life. Sometimes you just have to laugh. Look at this. I was in the ER for the first time in Mexico with some good friends of mine here. And what were we doing, guys? We were laughing. We were laughing the whole time under the full moon in Scorpio, of course. And it brought some revelations about my life. I felt like I had been dealt some really terrible cards in life as far as the family that I was born into, the circumstances I was born into, the genes I was given. And then this year I got dealt another massive crushing wallop that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet. Like a couple of them, actually probably like 3 in a row. One of them was finding out that not only did we have indentured servitude on my mother's side for the East Indians, but then I also had actual slavery on my father's side, the West Indians. My actual grandparents were actually slaves. So let me just think how it kind of is my birthright to rest in this life. It is kind of my birthright to relax and receive. And I have done this quite well, if I must say so myself. And I do think it is part of my dharma to help other people get free. That's kind of what I've been doing since I was a kid. I would find out some kind of hack, some kind of cool knowledge, and people would be like, oh my God, that's so cool. How'd you do that? And I would tell them, and I would show them. And then eventually got to a point in my life where I was like, hey, I should get paid to be alive. I'm actively out here solving these problems and sharing them. And I think you should too. However, most of you need some space to create and find your dharma. You need some breathing room. So I'm going to give you 3 tips today to find a bit of breathing room for your dharma, because I know you're tired, my friend. I know you're weary. This road has been long. I am 40, 41 or 42. Actually, I can't remember. I'm somewhere between 40 and 42 years old. I know that much. 41 and 42 years old. Maybe 43, I don't know. At least I had some good years. Even though I had childhood trauma, I had some good years. The 80s and the 90s, and it's everything comes full circle. Here I am. I know the lyrics to the Macarena now because I speak Spanish from living in Mexico. And when I was in the 90s, we used to wait for the Macarena to come on at night on the radio channel. And we would go and dance, in my house in the dark. My mom and my brothers and I. Blockbuster video, Nintendo, playing outside in the streets all day and all night. The feeling of having to meet your friend when you make plans because you can't contact someone by cell phone, you actually have to be there. Life before the internet and cell phones. I just feel that was quite a gift. And even, just to be overcoming these ridiculous ass challenges that I keep getting tossed in life. So the first tip I'm going to give you is you're going to need all of your energy, your energetic attention and resources in order to start to bring yourself back to center. So you need to consider giving up popular music, movies, TV shows, and the news. And it may sound crazy to you, but if you've been looking at the world and you're noticing some really weird things and you're starting to notice, you're just starting to wake up, right? I was waking up to all this since grade school. I was looking around and I'm like, something is weird about this world. The media is run by dark magicians who use it to harness your energy. Look at these concerts. What do you see? You see these people on stage creating this huge emotional experience for the audience who has paid money and who are directing their energy and their emotions towards these figures. What do you see when you see men watching football? You know, I dated a man who was into sports when I was in my early 20s. And this was a guy who was like pretty lackluster about life. He wasn't passionate about standing up for himself or, you know, working on his family lineage, his legacy, or finding his purpose in life. He wasn't all that out to protect me or to, you know, make a big difference in my life. He was just kind of meh about everything. But then I saw him watching football one day and he was like, yes! With this intensity from the depth of his soul over something that like had absolutely no impact on his life. In fact, it just harvested his energy. His heroic energy was directed towards the heroes on the screen instead of his own life. And that was before I knew better when it came to dating and relationship choices. I don't mess with guys who project their inner hero onto screens and who worship black mirrors, right? What do we have? Many people have as an altar. You know, in the old days, you'd go into someone's house and they'd have an altar which was exalted in their house, and they would bow before this altar on a regular basis. Now what that is a TV. This is how I know whether or not I'm dealing with someone of a higher consciousness. If I go in your house and you've got a black mirror altar set up to be exalted in your living room and you're bowing before this altar, or you've got your cell phone, another altar, and you're bowing before the cell phone regularly, multiple times a day, like somebody turning towards Mecca. Okay, these are things that let me know, okay, this is where this person's level of consciousness is at. Fortunately, I don't really attract these kind of people into my life anymore, just because I've just been off that vibe for so long. This is going to be very, very important, so please pay attention. What a lot of people use this mass media, outrageous news stories that you can do nothing about, that just make you feel emotional, concerts, music, movies, celebrity gossip, Marvel, Walking Dead, whatever, is they take you away from an uncomfortable feeling that you have. As long as you cannot stay in an uncomfortable feeling in your nervous system, you cannot actually change your reality, right? This is where self-sabotage comes from. So what happens is we start to feel a little uncomfortable with things that are unfamiliar to us, right? Humans are creatures of routine, right? You get up, you kind of do the same thing every day, don't you? And they actually found out that we think like 98% of the same thoughts every single day. We take the same route to work. We look at the same people's social media profiles that we're stalking, whatever. We do the same things, we think the same things. And when we have a little bit of downtime, if anything from our subconscious starts to come up where we would question the state of the planet, where we would question the way we were living like zoo animals. I don't agree with keeping animals in a zoo either, by the way. But if we start to question these things, or we start to feel like something might be wrong, we start to get uncomfortable. And this process has happened so quickly that most people are not aware of it. They just start getting a feeling, and they don't even think about it. They just, I gotta look at the phone, internet. Right? It's really unfortunate. Children are becoming like that too. Look at the iPad kids. They become addicted to being regulated by these screens that take them out of their mind and into another reality. If you want to have a different life, you have to be willing to let your brain experience a different reality. And you have to be able to sit with being uncomfortable. This is a really important skill for an entrepreneur, because most people, they start to feel a little bit uncomfortable even if they're not aware of it. I don't want to post that video. If I try that business, what if it fails? People will laugh at me, blah, blah, blah. Some people don't even have this conscious level of thought. They just like actively cannot get over a certain hump or a certain thing in their life, and they just don't know why. It might look like excessive procrastination, but that's what it is. It's a fear of being uncomfortable. Those moments where you feel the urge to look at your phone, or to go and watch a YouTube video or to watch a movie or watch Netflix at the end of the night, pause, be like, oh, this is that moment that girl told me about on YouTube. This is that moment. I'm going to look up a 20-minute breathing meditation and just be with this. It sucks the first time. But eventually, you start to feel comfortable with it, and then you can find yourself in the ER in essentially a third world country where you don't speak the language, and you will be laughing. Or even, in Canada, I was in the emergency room with heart problems. And I remember a surgeon coming in and stopping quickly and saying, like, why are you so calm? And I was sitting there reading Walden Pond by Thoreau. And I actually just read him a passage from it, and he just really enjoyed it for a moment, When you can become comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings, then your brain starts to expand a little more to allow a little more discomfort in, right? We're in very, very comfortable lives. And that has been nice in some ways, but detrimental in others. And then once you become comfortable with those feelings, you want to work on something else, which is calming your nervous system and the part of your brain that feels like you're in danger and that wants to take you away from the fear and those feelings. Try looking from side to side, observing everything around you. What color is the wall? What's the texture on the wall? What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you feel? Start practicing being in the moment and showing your body that you are not in danger. Modern life has us feeling constantly like we're in danger. Even, chemicals like caffeine and coffee will race your heart and make your body think that there's danger near. Chemicals in the food that we eat, right? If you're eating dye, your body thinks of it as an attack. If you're eating, toxic chemicals that come in most of the food, air, and water in modern life, your body feels like you're constantly under an attack. Use your mind to change your body, and then your body and mind will change your reality. Then project yourself into your dream life and start to do the same thing. What's the texture on the walls? Are you in a Rolls Royce with a star pattern ceiling? Can you see the stars twinkling in the dark as you drive down the road? Whatever it is for you, start to imagine the patterns, the textures, the people, the smells, the feelings of the life that you want. This is signaling to your nervous system that this is okay. This is safe. It's not unfamiliar anymore, even though it might be unfamiliar to you in your normal life. And then your nervous system will allow you to start taking the steps towards bringing that life into reality. And it will start looking for opportunities, ways, talents, and skills that you never knew you even had. The next tip is quiet quitting. Okay, so we're looking for ways to create space for your dharma. If you've got a job that is taking up a lot of your emotional, spiritual bandwidth, attention, and time, that's okay. You need it to survive right now. But we are going to work at withdrawing your energy and your investment. You want to be doing the absolute bare minimum to not get fired from this job. So this includes not attending work events, not participating in work gossip, not going the extra mile, not worrying about promotion. Do what you need to do, and when you have time away from your work, completely detach. I remember on my work breaks, when I used to work at the mall, I used to drive. I used to compound all of my breaks into 1 hour, and I would drive to a park, and I would listen to Leonard Cohen under the trees in the sun and relax. Or I would watch inspiring YouTube videos by people like Ralph Smart. Or I'd watch videos by Brian Tracy or Wayne Dyer. And I would think about my life that I would be in after this was over, even though at the time I couldn't see a way out. This works for any dangerous or unpleasant situation you find yourself trapped in. I did this for my marriage when I realized it was over and that this person had the potential for violence. I just quiet quit my marriage after I had been fighting and begging and trying, and for so long. I was like, all right, I'm done. I stopped engaging him in any conversation that was beyond, the basic, oh, hey, how was your day? Oh, that's good. Just very pleasant, surface level conversation while I was getting my ducks in a row to leave. Went and hid the guns that were in the house. This is a typically, historically very dangerous time for a woman when she's in the process of leaving a man. So do what you have to do if you're in a difficult situation in your life. Withdraw the energy. The third tip is to downgrade your life. Downgrade what you are putting into the system. I've talked to people who are like, I'm broke. And I'm like, what are you spending your money on? Okay, let's look at everything. Let's talk about it. There are people spending $4,000 on rent to live downtown when they don't even do anything. They're just attached to this idea of where they live. Can you take this job remote? Can you then go and live in a quieter place, right? Is the place that you're living really fulfilling your soul? Do you really need it in order to achieve your life's purpose? Now, for me, I've always kind of hated living in Canada. I enjoyed living in the United States, but that's because it was in the middle of nowhere. And then when winter came, I just knew that I couldn't hack it anymore. So for me, living in Mexico was ideal. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but when I heard they were like, yeah, you can rent a house here for $150, I was like, I did things before that too to try and see how I could downgrade my life to create more space for my dharma. Some people who have a different level of energy or support or drive, or even a love for more material things or material comforts than I do. They may work harder or make more money or take more risks. For me, I prefer the easy, calm way in life. I prefer to manifest naturally, but for me, really, I enjoy the simple things. I like luxurious things from time to time, but in general, the things that make me happiest are the sun, the flowers, the breeze, the ocean, the trees. I prioritize that in my life. And in the past, I lived in small towns, where the living is much more affordable. I also tried living on the road. I thought this would be ideal for me because, I had some of the best night sleeps in a vehicle on the road. Yeah, you can drive your van or your SUV onto a quiet back road or into an abandoned campground, and it's just completely this isolated pod where there's you don't get disturbed by anyone or anything. There's no ambulance sirens. There's no neighbor blasting their altar with their TV that they're worshiping all night long. None of that. And so nice. I really like the freedom and autonomy, and I think those are some of the most important things in my life. Nature, freedom, and autonomy, and you can kind of see that in the decisions that I've made. So offload anything that is slowing you down. Offload anything that is stressing you out and that is not of great value and worth to you. Consider what you really want to bring with you to the end of life, which we all will meet one day. For some, sooner than others. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.